I thought I would talk about why I decided to go back to school later in life. I didn't have an opportunity to go to college right after high school because I was a teen mom and I had a baby. So that kind of just put that aside. I think at that point I never even considered school. Also, I had many children, so there was never a time when my youngest was old enough that I could see a path to going to school, as well as online school wasn't, um, as big a thing as it is now. So for me to go to school would mean I would have to go physically go to school, and that would be very hard on, as a mom with young children. So I just kind of set it aside. Then when I got divorced, somebody mentioned, actually, a few people mentioned going back to school to me. And at that time, I didn't feel like I had um, the ability to do it because I still had a young child. I needed to work to make enough money for, expenses. And I just didn't see a way of working and going to school. So I set it aside. And then at the point, it was about 5 years after my divorce, I was reflecting on my life. At that time, I was working part time and doing some other things on the side. And I thought, well, why couldn't I do it now if I'm already working I'm only working part time? That gives me more time for school. And I started to explore the idea, found out that I could take like all or most of my classes online. So that took away um, that excuse that I had previously. And then I decided to just go for it. And I'm kind of one of those people that I might take a long time to think about something, but once I make a decision, I just do it. And so I decided to go ahead and go to school, and I had enrolled and done all my testing. Well, done my test, got accepted and tested, placement testing, enrolled within a month. And then there we are. Here I am. So why did I decide to do this? I was tired of doing the same thing and not getting the results I wanted. So I knew that I wanted to make more income, and I felt like studying psychology was definitely in line with what I was trying to do. I was writing. At one point, I had a podcast, and then I took a trauma recovery coaching certification course with the intention of starting a coaching practice. And so that's where I was when I decided to go to school. And I figured, well, I could start down. I'm already on the psychology road because coaching, there's a lot of psychology involved. I mean, it's in the psychology field, really. So I thought, well, I'm not really going to lose out by furthering my education and becoming more informed in psychology. If anything, that's going to help me be a better coach. And so I just decided, let's go for a 2-year degree and see where it leads. And then somewhere during that first semester, I decided I would go for a bachelor's degree in psychology. And then within that first year, I knew that I wanted to pursue a master's and become a licensed therapist. So that's kind of how it progressed. I have a feeling that I felt like I wanted to be a therapist at the beginning of it, but I wasn't able to allow myself to kind of reach for that until I got going with the schooling, because starting school was such a barrier for me. Not really a barrier, but like it felt like a big wall that I had to overcome. And just getting started began to make that wall smaller and make it something that I could see myself moving past. And then the more time I've spent in school, the further I get along in my studies, I'm close to getting my associates now, the smaller that those barriers become, and the more confidence I feel, and the more possibility I see for my future. So for me, it's really been one of those things, like I needed to start so that I could see the potential and the path opening before me. It's kind of like when you're going on a hike and maybe you're in like a forested area. So you know where the hike leads, but you can't see the trail because there's so many turns, and maybe you're going up an incline and then down, and it's windy, and then there's so much tree cover and maybe bushes and everything that you can only see in some places a few feet in front of you. And especially if you're starting down this trail and you only see maybe 3 feet ahead, it's hard to sometimes believe that the trail continues because you can't see the evidence of it. But once you get walking, you see the trail open up before you. Every step you take, you see further into the trail. And that's what my education has been for me. And now I see a future where I continue to pursue this course and then work in the therapy field. So that has been the main reason I made this decision, or the process, I would say. It's more of a process. And, even last year I was thinking, well, what would like a Psych D degree look like for me? So I'm holding off on that idea of like a doctorate's degree. Like, let's just get through the 4-year degree first of all, and then I would come to like a fork in the road, a fork in the trail. And I know I'm going either, I know I'm getting to the 4-year degree, and then I'm going to face master's or doctorates. And that's okay to kind of hold off that decision. It takes a lot of thought, research, also learning what I'm capable of, what I want to do, what my responsibilities are to make an income and to care for my children, and how either of those courses, either of those directions would impact my life. So I feel comfortable kind of holding back, but knowing I'm going to choose one of those directions. And it's exciting and interesting to think through these future, like even to think of approaching that place where I would be making that future decision. But it's also comforting to know that I don't have to make a decision right now. I don't have to know. I know that I'm pursuing this direction. There is the big goal in mind, and I'm working towards that. And then there's all the little parts that have to come together, like how am I going to make money while going to school full time? So those are things I'm experimenting with. Like currently I'm doing gig work. For me, that looks like Instacart and Shipt, which I've been doing since 2019. But the way that the market is, it looks like, well, should I segue or move into doing temp work as a dental assistant, because that would be more efficient and I would make more money efficient, make more money faster with less work time. So those are things I'm looking at. So there's always like the little moving pieces that have to come together, like kids' school schedules. When are they going to be out of school? How do I want them to spend their time when I'm not home? Is it better for me to be home with them to make sure that they aren't just watching TV all day? And those sort of things. So as a single mom, I believe you have more moving parts or pieces than someone who's married. And that can make progress a little slower at times. Like I'm not going to make as much money overall than someone who's married and doesn't have to navigate childcare issues that I do. Also, as a single mom, I feel that it's very important for me to spend as much time as I can with my children. Like, to me, that's more important than making extra money. So we sacrifice, or I sacrifice some things to have more time with my children. And that's okay. Like, those are choices I can make. And everyone's choices will look different. Everyone's path will be different. And I guess the point of this recording is, you don't have to make a concrete decision about your future. You can try different things and see where it takes you. Because as you move down a path, you can always turn around to go back and start over. But moving forward down that path gives you information. It helps you learn things about yourself, what you can tolerate, what you can't tolerate, what you want for yourself and your family. And that's all very important information so that you can make a decision that best suits you. And the main thing is like that flexibility to be able to make different choices and make different decisions. When I was divorced, I was by the end of the divorce, I was a registered dental assistant. I was working a part-time job with the goal of making that a full-time job eventually, and then possibly going to school for dental hygiene. Like, that was the path I could realistically see for myself. And then at one point I realized I don't want to work in the dental field forever or full-time or whatever. And it became more of, this is the way to make money until I figure out what the next step is. So there was a time there where I didn't know what the next step was, and I was just working and making money, and that was okay too. Not everyone wants to move beyond a certain phase, but sometimes you do, and it's okay to explore that. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm encouraging you to be able to explore something more or something different for yourself. Like, it's okay to question if what you're doing is really your passion and really a good fit for you, and to kind of, take those little exploratory hikes and see if you can find this vista, this viewpoint, overlook of a trail, and say, that's where I want to go. I want to go down to that valley. I want to go up to that mountain, or I want to go back to where I started from and try another trail. And all of those answers are okay. This is, I think, is part of quality of life. I think it's important to have goals, to be able to change goals, and to live a life that's good for you. We have to, in a sense, live for our children because we need to provide for them. But in the end, we have to live for ourselves. So it's okay to look at the idea of change and a different path. And I just want to encourage you to do that. Like, explore your life, explore who you are, have fun with your life. And also, your children are watching you. They're watching you make these choices that you make. They're watching you navigate the wrong trail and then going back. And they're learning from you that they can do those things too in their life. They can explore different ideas, and that doesn't mean they have to be cemented into it. They can change their ideas later. So I think it models healthy choice and behavior for our children. And of course, under all, we have to be responsible for our kids and for providing. But we can still explore different ideas and different careers while we are doing that. So I just want to encourage you today. I wanted to explain a little more about how this process has looked for me over the last 6 years and how it might look for you. And that sometimes we don't know from the beginning what we want. Like, going through a divorce is such a big life change. I don't think there's a way that you can know the future from that place of just having yourself taken back down to your foundation. And sometimes that foundation is going to take a lot to find it. Like, there's going to be a lot of junk that is cleared away to find that strong, stable spot or place that you can grow from. And that's okay. Like, it can look messy, but there is something that comes from it. And at this point, I don't even know exactly what the building is going to look like that I'm making, which seems kind of weird. I have a vague idea. Like I said, I'm getting to that decision point at the end of my bachelor's degree. And then I know, is it going to be this larger building or a smaller one? But the foundation is still going to support either of those choices. So anyway, be encouraged. Know that the journey can be messy, but you keep going. You keep moving forward in some way, and doors, trails open before you, and you find out what you want and where you want to go. All right, bye.